You know what no one ever said never? I really want to hear Owen Jones's opinion on this. That's right. No one ever said that never. Never. Not once. And if you think they did, you're mistaken. You're tripping. Sort it out. You might need to go see the doctor. Anyway. Boris Johnson's backers are cynics enabling disaster. Now look. Not many people are fans of Bojo. You a fan of Bojo? Am I? Are you? Probably not. But when it comes to Owen, we must defend whoever he attacks, even if it was Beelzebub himself. That's the rules. That's how we play this game right now. Let's have a look. There's Owen, same photo, same face. Just like Republicans who excoriated Trump. I don't know that word, Owen. Stop it. Excoriated Trump only to fall into line behind him. Tory MPs are playing a dangerous game. There's Boris Johnson having a selfie with a young lady. Problematic, don't you think? Who are the biggest frauds and charlatans? I don't know. Owen Jones could be one of them. Donald Trump or his erstwhile Republican opponents in the different political universe of 4 years ago when Trump's odds of clinching the Republican nomination were judged to be 1%. God, I wish I put a bet on then. Damn. Everyone, including members of the grand old party, could ridicule and excoriate. I'm just going to think it's excoriate this reality TV tycoon as an absurd clown. Who can forget the bitter primary contest when Ted Cruz flamed him as a pathological liar, utterly immoral, a serial philanderer, and a rat? Why would you trust him in the White House, he asked. Or what of the bitter tirades of Marco Rubio, who denounced Trump for turning the most important election in a generation into a freak show, called him a con artist, an embarrassment, who attacked his dangerous style of leadership and pleaded for Republican voters to end this lunacy? Well, Clown World is grateful that the lunacy never ended. Then there's the Republican Senate Majority Leader Mitch McConnell, who suggested that Republican colleagues fearful of losing their seats should break with Trump, declaring, "We'll drop him like a hot rock." Or the former House Speaker Paul Ryan, who, alright Owen, you're going on and on and on about what people said a few years ago, okay? What's your point? They all capitulated, of course, every single one. Everyone is entitled to change their mind when the facts do, but no facts have changed about Trump. He remains a pathological liar. No. He's a troll, Owen. He is a troll. A con man. That's all part of trolling. I don't know. Con man. Utterly immoral. Dismissed by Trump as fake news. And the Republican establishment as tawdry and venal as it is, knows all this. God, Owen is a hateful young man, isn't he? But Trumpism became a convenient vehicle with which to slash taxes for the rich, to deregulate, to attack even the modest reforms of Obamacare, and to undermine environmental and consumer protections and workers' rights. The freak show, described by Rubio, serves a purpose. It provides a distraction, as the author Naomi Klein has noted, from Trump's actual political agenda. Blah, blah, blah. Get to the bloody point, Owen. We are bored. Don't turn off yet. It's Owen boring you, not me. To paraphrase Theresa May in her first Prime Minister's questions, remind you of anybody? Donald Trump's mini-me. He's a mini-me now. Boris Johnson is Donald Trump's mini-me. This guy is in the ascendant. The Tory crown is his to lose, but his colleagues know he's an incompetent, a man who cares only for himself, and who was fired twice by a newspaper editor and a party leader over allegations of dishonesty. Well, he's the right man for the job. A former advisor to Michael Gove recalls how in meetings he was never prepared, that he could never focus, and that he was an embarrassment, and that nearly everyone who worked with him says the same. Well, you got to say this about Boris Johnson. When he became mayor, it was an appropriate role for Boris because Ken Livingstone, let's all face it, was a wacky clown himself, and it was only fitting that you'd have one left-wing wacky clown replaced by a right-wing wacky clown. The balance was complete. It was like the first two mayors of London were wacky clowns. Boris Johnson just used to be that guy on Have I Got News for You that everyone was like, who is this bumbling idiot? He's hilarious. didn't think he was an actual politician. I don't think anyone expected him to be a real politician. But he was. And, yeah. And now, who have we got now? Sadiq Khan. He's not as wacky, but he's definitely a clown. You know, he's just... they've just got rid of They got Wid. Just talking like Jonathan Ross. They got rid of the wacky element and just left the clown element. So, you know. So expect the whoever proceeds... whoever succeeds, not proceeds. Whoever precedes Sadiq Khan should be a right-wing clown, but not a wacky clown, and then the balance will be maintained. Or maybe even a Liberal Democrat clown, or a Green Party clown. There's plenty of clowns in that party, from what I've seen. When Amber Rudd memorably declared you can't trust him to take you home at the end of the evening, it seems she was simply summing up the private thinking of many of her colleagues. That hasn't stopped her allegedly attempting to strike a pact with him, of course. Yes, well, what? Politicians chopping and changing their mind for the convenience of gaining political powers? I've never heard of such things, Owen. Crazy. What a crazy time we live in. Tory MPs know Johnson is a farcical choice for Prime Minister. Yeah, we all know this. But it would be hilarious. So, I think he's the right man for the job. But they are also desperate. They fear a Labour Party that will overturn an economic and political consensus constructed by Margaret Thatcher 4 decades ago, and they see the rising tide of Thatcherism lapping at their feet. They have concluded that the normal rules of politics have been abandoned, and that the mass politics of a second Corbyn general election campaign can only be answered with a guy who gets spontaneous requests for selfies on the high street. That's why he put the pictures on there of the selfie. The Republican Party is now the Trump Party, and the Trumpification of our own Conservative Party beckons too. Just as Trump was, we were reassured, basically just a bombastic New York Democrat, Johnson, it's claimed, is really just a one-nation Conservative. Let's get real here about a man who called black people pickaninnies. All right, Owen, we're going to play your game, Owen. We're going to play your game, Owen. Let's see. Okay. Did he call black people pickaninnies? Oh, of course it leads to a Guardian article. Boris Johnson has apologised for referring to black people as pickaninnies and talking about watermelon smiles. This was 11 years ago. During a debate for the London mayoral contest on Monday, the Conservative candidate said he was sad that people had been offended by, but insisted the words had been taken out of context. So, in a column published in the Daily Telegraph 6 years ago, so this happened in 2002, Johnson mocked Tony Blair's globetrotting. What a relief it must be for Blair to get out of England. It is said that the Queen has come to love the Commonwealth, partly because it supplies her with a regular cheering crowd of flag-waving pickaninnies, he wrote. He also mentioned watermelon smiles. These things are extremely big obstacle of being able to work. So, he said, flag-waving pickaninnies. He wrote. Well, if he says it's taken out of context, what was the context? Yeah. What's the context, Owen? Boris Johnson. Pickaninnies. I mean, pickaninnies is such an old word. Does anyone even know that it's like... I can't even spell it. Boris Johnson told us in front of... Here's the article from 2002. Let's see what he said, shall we, Owen? See what he said. Like I said, we have no love for Boris, but you, Owen. Oh, God, Owen, you annoy me. He's back. Can you see? Look, if you spot the word pickaninny, let me know. Let's have a look. Here we are. Queen, it supplies her with a regular cheering crowds of flag-waving pickaninnies, and one can imagine that Blair, twice victor abroad, but admired at home, is similarly seduced by foreign politeness. They see he is shortly off to the Congo. No doubt the AK-47s will fall silent, and the pangas will stop their hacking of human flesh, and the tribal warriors will all break out in watermelon smiles to see the big white chief touch down in his big white British taxpayer-funded bird. I think the language Boris Johnson is using there is kind of having a go at Tony Blair. It's mocking Tony Blair, using the word pickaninnies, watermelon smiles, This is 2002 as well. It's a different time. This is, this is just using language to mock Tony Blair as being some sort, as Tony Blair envisioned himself as some sort of big white savior, basically. That's what you can see that from just reading that. The word pickaninny. Pickaninny such a. It's like I heard someone use the word coloured a couple of years ago, and I was like, oh, I forgot that was actually something people said in the 70s. I don't remember people saying that in the 90s or the 80s. Oh, we're used coloured. Like, it's such an old word. You go, oh yeah, people used to say that, didn't they? Why are you still saying that? That's a bit weird of you to say that. All right, Owen, I think that was taken out of context. He was mocking Tony Blair. Someone, and you'd probably mock him the same way as well. You don't like him. Yeah, what else have we got? Anyway, why not a union between 3 men as well as 2 men? So what did he say? He wrote of tank-topped bum boys and declared that if equal marriage was permissible, why not a union between 3 men as well as 2 men, or indeed 3 men and a dog? Okay. This leads us to Business Insider. What did he say? Much of the sexist and homophobic articles about hot totty and tank top bum boys revealed. So what did he say? Hot totty. In 1996, while a journalist for the Telegraph, Johnson went to the Labour conference and wrote a piece reviewing the quality of the hot totty who were present. The unanimous opinion is that what has been called the totty meter reading is higher than at any Labour Party conference in living memory. Who cares? This is 1996. Is Boris Johnson and the totty meter? Does anyone care? So what? Alright, Labour's most bizarre promises. Emotional women are often blubbing blondes, he said. Just pat her on the bottom and send her on her way. He once said voting Tory will cause your wife to have bigger breasts. In the Ministry of Sound, the tank top bum boys blub into their pills. In recent years, Johnson has become an advocate of gay rights and led the Pride Parade as London Mayor. However, these are not issues that he displayed while the journalist writing in The Spectator in 2000. Johnson attacked what he called Labour's appalling agenda, encouraging the teaching of homosexuality in schools and all the rest of it. This is in 2001. So in his 2001 book, Friends Vote as Countrymen, Johnson compared gay marriage to bestiality, writing that if gay marriage was okay and was uncertain of the issue, when I saw no reason in principle why a union should not be consecrated between 3 men as well as 2 men, or indeed 3 men and a dog. Alright. But did not Owen say that people can change their minds and opinions? Right, Boris Johnson writes. But in the 90s, it was in the 90s, bro. Come on. Who wrote of tank top bum boys in the night, like over 20 years ago? Come on, man. All right. What else did he do? He went to The Spectator when it published an article declaring black people had lower IQs than whites. Now this one is spicy. Now this is spicy. Boris says sorry over blacks have low IQs article in The Spectator. So what Owen says, what does Owen say? He says he edited The Spectator when it published an article. So it published an article, he was editor. Okay, right. Now what is this contentious thing? Even standard. Why is this not showing a set of things? Has it been censored? Do you want to hurry up with your Washington apologize again over race issues? Today RT was accused of condoning an article that claiming black people have a lower IQ. Tory male candidate, this is a long time ago, on one column, Taki wrote that Orientals, this is how long ago it is, you can't use that term no more, have larger brains and higher IQ scores. Blacks are at the other pole. In another, described black American basketball players as having arms hanging below their knees and tongues sticking out. When asked today if he had condoned the articles unearthed by a black newspaper, New Nation, Mr. Johnson said to the Standard, "I am sorry for what was previously written as it does not reflect what's in my heart. Ken Livingstone has nothing positive to say about the future of London. Blah, 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 blah. So obviously they published an article in there talking about the whole IQ thing. And Johnson. The thing is, I mean, forget about that, right? The people just don't want to go near that whole IQ debate thing, because it is used to discriminate, and it's sort of acknowledged and it's sort of not acknowledged. It's fascinating. So they will acknowledge that people from the Far East have higher IQs, right? And it's also acknowledged that like Ashkenazi Jews have higher IQs as well. But the whole Asian thing is that so you're talking about people from the Far East, East Asia, even to the degree is it Harvard University or Yale University, whichever one it is in America, is openly discriminating against Asian students because too many of them get in, so they've raised the scores to make it even harder for them to get in. So they will acknowledge that there is this. And it's just it's a bell curve thing. It's a rule of thumb type situation that Asian students are killing it, okay? But someone has to be at the bottom. That's the thing. And like white people are below that, and black people are below that. So we're all below the Asians, but someone has to be at the bottom. Like I said, it's just a rule of thumb thing. It's just a general consensus. It's not like hardest data. It's not they haven't monitored everyone on planet Earth. It's just the scores that they get in from wherever they collected the data in. From from Mensa or from applications to universities or wherever they collate it. So it's very strange that no one and it's something that like shouldn't. It's something that sort of should be taken with a pinch of salt. It's like, oh well, generally like IQ isn't everything. That's the fact of life. IQ doesn't do everything for you, That's the kind of thing. We placed way too much importance on IQ anyway. But no one wants to be like, oh, we're the dumbest race. But it's fine for someone to go, well, they're the most intelligent race. It's very strange how you can just say they like if there's this data. I haven't never looked into it, so I don't give a fuck, to be honest. But they say this data says that Asians, people from the Far East, East Asians, generally have a higher IQ. Well, someone has to be at the bottom, even if it's by 0.0001% or whatever percentage it is. I'm sure that the numbers are very close to each other anyway. I don't know, but so someone has to be at the bottom. So it's very strange that you would dare talk about the lower end, even though maybe that might solve problems if it's true or whatever it is. But it's very strange how they'll acknowledge that there are these two groups of Jews and East Asians that are at the top, but they won't acknowledge anyone who's like below that, because it might be white people at the bottom, and therefore what are you going to do then? Or whoever's at the bottom, it might be Inuits. Fuck knows, I don't know, Polynesians, I have no idea. Someone's at the bottom and they'll be like, oh well, you can't discriminate against East Asians and say, oh, you're doing too well. What are the people who aren't doing so well? You have to sort of change things for them. Lower the bar for them. What is it? It's a very strange thing. It's very strange, and it's just an issue you just don't want to go anywhere near, isn't it? What else did he do? He joked about cleaning the dead bodies from Libya to turn it into a tourist resort, and he compared Muslim women to bank robbers and letterboxes. Yes, he did, but whatever. What did he joke about Libya? Actually, there's one here. Boris Johnson refuses to apologise for the Libyan dead bodies remark. Foreign Secretary had said town of Sirte could be like Dubai once the dead bodies were cleared away. Boris Johnson first calls to resign after he sidestepped calls to apologise. Johnson calls out raw and infuriated Theresa May at the Conservative conference when he suggested the town of Sirte in Libya could become the next Dubai once the dead bodies were cleared away. He is the new Trump. Well, Joan, all right. Thing is, Joan, Owen, you just don't get it, do you? I think Boris is Teflon now. I mean, if you've had that amount of egregious things, that's Trump level almost. Well, not quite, but do you know what I mean? It's water off a duck's back for him. Like you haven't got it, have you? If you're going to go on an absolute tirade against Boris Johnson and try and, tarnish his reputation and bring up everything that he's mentioned, and every wrong thing that he's done, the more shit there is to throw at someone, the more powerful they seem to become. Like Donald Trump, so much, they keep trying, and they don't realize that it just makes him stronger and stronger and stronger and stronger, and more people like him, because people see that it's just personal attacks all the time. So you don't get it, do you? Apparently they'll never get it. You're just going to make Boris the next prime minister. You're going to make him stronger with all this stuff. There's none of this will stick. Johnson, in truth, will say or do anything he thinks is to his own political advantage. Oh, that doesn't sound familiar at all. He knows that the remaining Tory party membership is UKIP in exile, and he knows the Tories' electoral chances hinge on winning back those voters who have defected en masse to the hard right Brexit party. A key ally will be Jacob Rees-Mogg, an ultra-reactionary opponent of LGBTQ rights and an abortion, and who seems to attract unpleasant, sinister supporters. What, Jacob Rees-Mogg? We can expect a Johnson government to rely on bigotry and demagoguery. Both will build support for a no-deal exit from the EU and deflect from economic policies and will only benefit Britain's elites. Some Tories will privately consider it a terribly vulgar, troubling even, but they will go along with this dangerous show, just as Trump's arch-nemesis in the Republican Party did. The Boris Johnson circus, like Trump's, will prove the ultimate distraction. Much of the media, which goes giddy at the knees at his every absurd pronouncement, will indulge where they should scrutinise, as an increasingly authoritarian brand of right-wing populism consolidates its grip on power. Johnson will be a slapstick frontman. And so back to the version of my initial question. Who are the biggest frauds and charlatans, Johnson or the Tories? Who will help impose him on Britain, despite knowing how dangerous he is? Who are the biggest charlatans? You're a charlatan, Owen. Owen, no one cares. Owen, Boris Johnson probably will be Prime Minister, helped along by people like you. I don't think you actually realise what you do. Did you not take anything away from President Trump's victory? For a man to go from a 1% chance to winning to actually winning. Do you not see how it's going on? The thing is, Owen, I've got to directly address the thing is, Owen, I didn't mock you as much as I should today. Usually I'll do a funny voice to imitate you, but the thing is, Owen, we all know that you're a hater. You went to Oxford yourself. Boris Johnson went to Oxford himself. I think you just despised all the public school boys that you were at Oxford with. I think that's what it was. I don't know what they did to you, Owen. I don't know what happened to you at Oxford. But it definitely turned you a bit, didn't it? Definitely made you a bit of a hater. You definitely hate the private, publicly educated boys. Even though you went to Oxford, so therefore you are part of that whole establishment. Whether you like it or not. You are one of them. I'm not one of them. Most people ain't one of them. But you are one of them. With your talk and your language. And you writing for The Guardian. Trying to use your big words. You're one of them. In our eyes, as, average Joe Schmoes, Owen, you are one of them. I don't care if you went to a state school and your dad was a coal miner or whatever the fuck it was. No one cares. You're in that elite group. Because you're in the media. You consider yourself one of the gatekeepers of information. You think you're talking truth to power, but you are one of them. You're just on the different political side. But you are one of them. You are one of those elites. You went to Oxford, bruv. Alright? So quit it. You're not a voice of the people. Okay? Some people may think you are. But those people, wow, just very misguided and brainwashed by the institutions that you prop up. So, bye, Owen. Bye.